Tell us about yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Stephen. Okay, again, hi, I'm Stephen Taylor. I'm running for Assembly District 7. I am a veteran. I'm also a 15-year union carpenter, other trades also. Been in my community 15 to 18 years in that direct community. We put on training for veterans, getting them back to work, giving them OSHA outreach training, ex-felons. I'm a family guy now, just, with my children. And, thank you for having me here.
My name is Brent Leavitt. I'm running for State Assembly District 7 as well. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, and went to school at Rancho High School and magnet program and stuff, and grew around the Nellis Air Force Base for my whole life. And then I went to school here and have a degree in economics from the University of Matarino. And I work currently in the insurance and financial industry. And I'm proud to be able to say I work for one of the greatest veterans companies in that benefits when they're defending freedom. They give a lot of time and money to the veterans and the population.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today. Mr. Taylor, there seems to be a trend in politics in the last probably 10 or 15 years, nationwide and statewide, to pass legislation that politicians feel are in our best interest. I'd like to know your take on the difference between legislation that's in our best interest. I could take you. And the will of the people. And legislators oftentimes lately seem to be ignoring the will of the people. I'd like to know how you plan on standing up for us and not the best interest.
Well, from being in the community, I did learn, I still am on that end of the stick where they try to do things that they feel as though is in our best interest. I wouldn't be running if I felt as though they were doing everything that they needed to do for our communities out here. Me, myself, I'm a people person. Everyone in that community, if you go in there and say, hey, do you know who Stephen Taylor is? They'll say, oh yeah, that's the guy who lives over there. Don't go knock on the door, he might talk to you too long though, But I like to know what's going on in my community. I help in my community. I go out there every day and speak to people, and people come and speak to me. So what I can say is I would be one of the ones that actually listen to my community and help do what they need done, and not what, my constituents up there say, hey, this is the norm and you need to stick with it.
Thank you. Sure, absolutely.
Well, that's a very good question too, because that's the reason why, number one reason they were running is because they haven't listened to us and what our community is trying to say. I think we have the best tools today to be able to understand what the will of the people is. And we have social media that's telling us, what people really want, and the markets are ever changing quickly. And so, as a legislator, I want to be up to date and listening to those mediums and actually going out to the people and understanding that. And I think that's going to be the biggest driving force, is to have the legislature actually change to the new times.
Thank you.
Were you going to sign the pledge stuff?
Oh yes, I was still reading it when they had called me up.
Brent already said he would sign it, so I just wanted to
I would sign it. I would sign it from what I see. Yes.
For your you've all heard about the Stanley Gibbs shooting, and what happened with that, with him being a vet and not getting his medical treatment, and ending up lost and confused. What should the legislature do, if anything, to make sure that that our veterans, and many of them are National Guard, so the legislature is responsible for those National Guard guys coming home that are injured with PTSD. What should the legislature be doing to make sure they're taken care of when the VA drops the ball, which they obviously have quite a bit?
One of the biggest things I'm a big provider of is we have a lot of support here in this valley. We have a population of veterans come here quite often, and we have a lot of nonprofit organizations here. I would love to see our legislature get more involved in the Guard, because they are responsible for the Guard. It is a state-sponsored agency, and to be able to meet with those people and have actual counselors to meet with them and to get them introduced to a lot of the resources we have. We have like Help USA. We have, we have a lot of different organizations that are there to help them to get jobs and make sure they're taken care of, I suppose, and helping them to get to the VA, because I know the VA is sometimes not really doing what they need to do. Just number one, having those counselors and having them set up to where they can be a liaison for them.
Yes, I also feel that we have a lot of agencies and a lot of veteran agencies.
Sorry.
Can you hear me? Okay. I gotta speak up louder. You know, we have a lot of agencies out here, and the problem is a lot of them aren't working together, you know, as a whole unit in order to do things for veterans. A lot of them do a lot of great things, but together as one unit, or either two units or two heads and a lot of different organizations working together, we can get a lot more accomplished. Veterans do suffer from PTSD, and there's something that we really need to address and do about it. From a legislative side, you know, I would, you know, like to see more bills that would support, you know, monies and funding for this, because there really isn't enough out there, and we really need to address that problem.
This question is for both of you. What three services do you feel are most important to veterans? And if elected, what specifically are you going to do to address these three services?
One, education, getting them re-educated, getting them back into the workforce. A lot of the field that we went into in the military doesn't transition over into civilian life. We need to also get them benefits, you know, things that are really needed. Homelessness, we need to address that. We need to address it aggressively, not slow like the, you know, like our administrators have been doing. There's a lot of homeless vets out there. A lot of them still, unfortunately, are on drug usage, whether it's through prescription and become addicted. We need to address those problems. And also with the, you know, when veterans go to court, they're treated differently. You know, the first thing they want to say, oh, they're trained killers or whatever. No, we were trained to protect our country. We're not trained killers. Thank you.
I think the three things are going to be, first of all, it's getting acclimated back to civilian life. That's the number one thing they always want to be a part of back in their lives again. Number two would be healthcare. Getting adequate access to medical resources is their number two. And then number three is be financial stability. Every single veteran that I've ever met with and so forth, they a lot of them, they get out of the military and they kind of struggle financially, and that's a big concern they have. Kind of those other two things kind of fall underneath that last bucket there.
You probably already heard this question. As we're looking towards economic recovery, can you name one specific act or law or one specific program of the state of Nevada that would most benefit the economy by its repeal?
The last assembly district bill that they passed this last session that number one took a lot of the homes off of the market, a lot of foreclosure. It stopped a lot of that process here in the valley, and what that did is it stopped a lot of the supply from actually happening and allowing prices to come to a point where people can actually buy these homes and actually, instead of having to fight for that one house and overpay for that house. That was a big bill I think needs to be repealed and allow for the market to actually work.
Actually, I believe if we start making the mining industry pay the full 6%. I mean, because if they're only paying 0.5% right now, and if they paid at least 1 full percent, that'll be $44 million that we could use in this state to do a lot more programming and help with a lot of veteran issues.
Right now, one of the big problems in the state, other than unemployment, is this massive unfunded liability of PERS. And what do you feel, each one of you feel, should be done with this issue? Because at some point, the state goes bankrupt. We don't want to follow in California's footsteps. And then one other quick question, Stephan, I'm just curious what service you, how long and what service you served in?
I served 4 years in the United States Army, 12 Bravo. Oh. Thought I was off the hook there. As far as PERS, I'm really not familiar with the term PERS. Could you give me a different? Public employees or paramedics. Okay.
Yeah, there's someone who works for 20 years, and then after 20 years, they get pretty much 100% of their pay for the rest of their life and health care.
Actually, they don't. I am a public employee.
It's actually 75%, and there's another.
Still 75%, and health care, all this other stuff. Whereas the rest.
30 years, they
whereas the rest of us have to save for our own retirements.
And
And
going full 30 years to pay for it.
So the question is, how do I feel about it, or what can we do to change it?
yes.
Okay. Well,
Get people like you out of it.
it's getting hot in here.
Leo should take you too.
What I can say is, from personal experience, my stepfather just retired 35 years from the private sector as a machinist. And actually, the company worked from Berkeley, California, did a lot of the cogs and stuff like that for these rides out here in Vegas. Well, when he retired, he has no benefits, nothing to look forward to. So that end I can speak about. With the public employees, I think we should do a better job at it, because I mean that's a long time to be working, and you know I'm really not too familiar with that subject at all. So I cannot sit here and give you a politician answer on it. I can only speak from the private sector side. Sorry.
I actually work with this quite often in my industry, in financial advising and so forth. And my biggest pet peeve about the PERS system is that the employees that are privy to that system have no clue how it works and don't really quite understand it. And I think the system takes advantage of them more than they get to take advantage of the system. I would like to actually see a complete overhaul of it, either making it so that money is invested correctly. GE Capital, for instance, has done a very good job taking care of their pension program and actually has been able to finance it very well, but for some reason State Nevada can't keep theirs really good. Number two, or set it up to where we can have a defined contribution program and provide education to the employees about what their benefits really are, and be able to empower them in order to have a good retirement program for themselves. Because I mean, these people are very educated and should know, really understand these systems a lot better. And I deal on a constant basis helping individuals that have these programs and trying to educate them.
Hey. All right, I'm gonna kind of accent on one of the other questions. You were asked about programs, or you were talking about homeless shelter, or helping transition the vets from military service and also the homeless. Rather than reinventing the wheel, you were saying that you wanted to bring up or support programs. There are a lot of programs already out there, especially here in the state of Nevada that I know of anyways. But now, I know you both said that you've been donating to or helping vets. Which of the existing nonprofits for homeless and transitioning vets stands out the most to you?
For me, it's probably just Help USA, mostly because I've met all those people there, and they're doing a very good job here in the Valley. They're not very well known, as they should be, but their focus is housing for veterans, especially those that are homeless and getting transitioned to homeless.
I would have to say the same. I know about them more than anybody else in USA Vets. Also, there's a organization that helps veterans who are ex-offenders, and unfortunately, it's a lot of them, you know, and so we do a lot of work with them, and they're located right there in Owens, and we provide training for them and try to give them job resources through companies that my company provides services for.
Good afternoon, thank you for coming today. Veterans in Politics has been pushing Clark County courts to implement a Veterans Court program. It started back in June, and currently I believe it's Judge Kyle Stevenson Henderson of the Municipal Court has implemented a Veterans Court program, and Judge Melanie Tobiason in Justice Court of Las Vegas has implemented a Veterans Court program. However, our district court has not implemented the Veterans Court, and that's actually where it should be. And the reason why they have not done this, we've been told, is because the state law that was written states that they may, rather than shall, implement a court. So they're kind of using that. And I would just like to know, would you work with us in changing the law from may to shall? And what are your assessments of our current Veterans Court?
Quite honestly, I'm not as familiar with the Veterans Court system, except for what I've slightly read in articles and so forth. I am totally for supporting that idea. From what I do know, it does seems like it would benefit the veterans, and especially in getting them the justice that they need and the help that they need and so forth. So that's about much I can probably announce right now currently, because I should be more inclined to knowledge about it, but I'm not, unfortunately.
With the Veterans Court, I do believe in district court is really needed. You know, with an economy like this, we have domestic violence crimes on the rise and stuff like that. They just get treated differently. They really do. And like I said, yeah, I would definitely support. I would definitely support it. Yeah. And adding some additional language in there that could really benefit the veterans.
Okay, great, thank you.
Right now, with the Veterans Court, just a follow-up, it's limited to misdemeanors, mostly drug. Would you expand that to a broader range of offenses so that they get treatment? Because PTSD people and others may fall into other categories, may not get the treatment they need. Would you add to legislation to that, to expand that?
Yeah, I said yes, I would too, definitely. Yeah.
Also, we need to introduce language so that this way the general public isn't claiming the same rights to PTSD and stuff like that, because then that would be a loophole that every attorney out there would try and use.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, one final question. Do you feel like this panel has treated you fairly and objectively?
Yes, they have, actually.
Yes, I have. Thank you.
Any follow-ons? Gentlemen, thank you very, very much. We have Mr. Martinez and Mr.